Every day has the potential to be an exciting one in the field of archaeology. You never know what might be discovered and what new information those discoveries might be able to tell us about the past. We've seen some truly remarkable finds come to light in the past 2 or 3 years, and we've gathered them together for you in this video. We've thrown a couple of incredible discoveries from the world of paleontology in too. Millions of people all over the world enjoy drinking a fine beer or two in good company, and that's a habit that goes back a long way in history. In fact, it goes back thousands of years. In February 2021, archaeologists announced the discovery of what's believed to be the world's oldest beer factory in Abydos, Egypt. The ancient brewery has been identified close to an ancient burial ground in the desert to the west of the Nile, 300 miles south of Cairo. Archaeological evidence recovered from the scene suggests the factory was active during the time of King Narmer, who was credited with unifying Egypt under his reign more than 5,000 years ago. The factory consists of 8 enormous brewing units, each containing around 40 pottery basins. Inside those basins, early beer pioneers would produce their beverages by heating up grains and water. The beer would have been both warm and flat, so it probably wouldn't have appealed to modern drinkers. But back then, we suppose it was a case of taking whatever you could find. The beaches of Wales are a beautiful part of the world and a fine place to go for a relaxing walk. That doesn't just go for humans. Dinosaurs apparently shared the same opinion. In January 2021, a 4-year-old girl out for a walk with her parents on the beach in the town of Bury spotted a tiny, strange-looking footprint on the rocky coast. She alerted her parents, who quickly realized they were looking at a dinosaur footprint. They contacted local experts and were amazed to find that their daughter was the first person ever to notice the footprint, even though it's clearly visible to anybody walking past. The footprint is approximately 215 million years old and was left by a small bipedal dinosaur known as a growliter. According to the Welsh National Museum in Cardiff, this is the most pristine dinosaur footprint found in the country in the past decade. They've now taken the rock away for safekeeping and will soon place it on permanent display for other people to enjoy. In the meantime, a team of experts is now combing the location in the hope of finding more evidence of dinosaur visitors. While we're talking about dinosaurs, let's talk about an incredible dinosaur discovery that took place in Argentina in January 2021. According to the experts responsible for the discovery, this might be the largest set of dinosaur remains ever discovered anywhere in the world. As things stand, the largest dinosaur ever discovered is the Patagotitan majorum, but these 98 million-year-old fossils in the southwest of Argentina belong to a creature that appears to be around 20% larger. The dinosaur belongs to the sauropod family, a species of dinosaurs with extremely long necks and tails who lived on plants. They're the biggest living creatures ever to have walked the Earth. The find can't be verified until more of the rock is cut away. So far, scientists have been able to identify around half of the dinosaur's tail and most of its hip bones, but the rest of it is still encased in solid rock. It might take them another year or two to finish that delicate job, but based on their predictions, they expect to eventually uncover a complete fossil that's over 140 feet long. Lake Iznik in Turkey has been having a tough time during the past couple of years, with an extended drought in the area causing the lake's water level to plunge to record lows. That's not great news for the local ecosystem, but it has at least allowed archaeologists to gain access to the ruins of St. Neophytos Basilica for the first time in generations. The remains of the basilica, which was built around 1500 years ago, were first spotted by people flying drones and taking pictures from above the lake in mid-2020. The water level has dropped even further since then, so now it's possible to see the structure from the shore without the need to fly above it. While the name of this old religious building is known, the identities of its builders are not. We're also not quite sure how it came to be submerged in the first place. There was a major earthquake here in the year 740, which might have collapsed the land it once stood upon. But that's more of a guess than a theory. Strangely, the interior walls of the basilica feature the seals of an order of ancient Scottish knights. How they came to be there is an unresolved mystery. While most countries probably didn't welcome being conquered and occupied by the Roman Empire in ancient times, they did get plenty of social and technical advancements while the Romans were there. Basic sewers and waste disposal systems were one such advancement, and an example of such a system has recently been uncovered at Amaze tumulus in the southeast of Turkey during a planned archaeological dig. Archaeologists say that this sewer system is around 1,800 years old, but it was built to last. The base, cover, and side walls were all made from basalt stones, and those stones are still in situ. Water conduits of around the same age were also found during the dig, as were burial chambers built around a century later. Some scientists who've had the chance to survey the site in person say that it's such a sophisticated sewer that it probably created a better clean and wastewater system than many people enjoy today in modern Turkey. It's not particularly large, measuring only 20 feet from one end to the other, but it was certainly efficient. The Angkor Temple complex in Cambodia is already world famous. It's been studied extensively by countless archaeologists for many years, and yet there are still new discoveries to be made there. Some of those discoveries are easier to understand than others. Right now, experts are puzzling over the significance of this carved stone turtle. It was found at Kandal Srasrang Temple in July 2020 and is believed to be a product of the 10th century. But historians aren't sure what, if anything, it's supposed to signify. It's known that an older, smaller temple once existed here, but whether or not the turtle statue had any religious significance is a question that can't be answered right now. It was customary at the time to place sacred objects within the foundations of new temples when they were being built, so this might be a votive offering of some kind, but there's no way of knowing for sure. Turtles are viewed as symbols of prosperity and longevity in many ancient Asian cultures, though. So, if this was a votive offering, it was a well-chosen and appropriate one. Professional archaeologists can't be everywhere at once, so amateur archaeologists with metal detectors still have a vital role to play when it comes to making new discoveries. Sometimes they strike gold, and we mean that literally. In February 2020, former police officer Kath Giles found this beautiful golden arm ring while out with a metal detector in the Isle of Man, a tiny piece of land off the coast of Western England. It's one of several pieces of Viking jewelry she found in the same place, all of which are believed to be approximately 1,000 years old. Kath also found a beautiful silver brooch and several pieces of broken ceramics buried alongside the metal artifacts. Experts are yet to provide a valuation for the pieces, but they're expected to be worth tens of thousands of dollars. Silver was a relatively common trading commodity during the Viking era, but gold was far more rare, so the arm ring would have been a treasured possession for whoever owned it. The grouping of the objects suggests they were buried deliberately, so it may be that the owner wanted to protect them or keep them safe but was never able to return for them. There's an ancient stone barn standing in the Cappadocia region of Turkey that's gone unappreciated for a very long time, but it's finally getting some long overdue attention at the moment. That's because in May 2019, archaeologists discovered a collection of hieroglyphs inside the barn. It took them a while to realize what they're dealing with, but it can now be confirmed that the hieroglyphs are Hittite in origin and were created approximately 3,500 years ago. That suggests that the barn was in use during the days of the Tabal Kingdom and might yet have more to tell us about this poorly understood period of history. We're fortunate that the hieroglyphs are still there to be discovered at all. During the past century, the barn has been used as a stable by local farmers who kept their cattle inside it, so the carvings could easily have been damaged or worn away. They've now been removed by professional stonemasons and taken to the Nevşehir Museum Directorate, where they're being studied in greater detail. The barn itself is now well and truly closed to all livestock. Back on the topic of the ancient Romans, our next recent discovery is an ancient Roman library, discovered below the streets of Cologne in Germany at the beginning of 2019. Construction workers identified the first signs of the structure after the demolition of a Protestant church in 2017. But it took some time for archaeologists to work through the site and identify the ruins below it. Cologne is one of the oldest cities in Germany, with origins that can be traced all the way back to the year 50. So it's one of the most likely places in the country for ancient Roman ruins to be found. There isn't much of the library left today, but according to historians, this place would once have held up to 20,000 scrolls, making it one of the most significant stores of knowledge in this part of the ancient world. The giveaway that the building was a library is the presence of precisely cut holes in the walls, which would have served as niches for scrolls to be stored inside. A similar design can be seen at the Library of Ephesus. This is now the oldest known library in Germany, and perhaps even the oldest known library anywhere within the old northwestern Roman provinces. The mighty Thracian civilization was just as prone to building enormous, elaborate tombs for their leaders as any other great civilization of the ancient world, but they didn't always follow the same template. On occasion, they also built tiny, ornate tombs like the one that was found in Rosovo, Bulgaria in October 2018. It's a brick tomb built around 2,300 years ago and is only the second beehive tomb of its kind ever to be found in the country. The first, known as the Kazanlak tomb, was found only 2 miles away, which suggests that the practice of building tombs like this was confined to a very small geographic area. It might be that more tombs like this exist, but were usually hidden beneath enormous burial mounds and so have not yet been discovered. Sadly, there's little inside the tomb that might tell us who it was built for. Whereas the Kazanlak tomb was full of murals and frescoes, this one appears to have been looted at some point in the distant past. It's possible that this more modern style of tomb building was symbolic of the diminished standing of the Thracian culture, which would shortly go on to be conquered by the Romans. Our next discovery isn't recent from the point of view of when it was found, but it's only recently that we've even begun to come close to understanding it. It's the Stretweg cult wagon, which was first discovered in a Hallstatt grave in Judenburg, Austria in 1851. The artifact is nearly 2,600 years old, and yet it almost looks like a tiny prototype car. Nothing like this has ever been found in any other grave before or since. The rest of the goods in the grave, which included iron weapons, jewelry, horse riding gear, and bronze amphorae, were all interesting, but not exactly unexpected. This bizarre sculpture stood out like a sore thumb. At the center of the piece, you'll find a 1-foot-tall woman holding a bowl over her head, with other people sat around her and gazing up at her in awe. The significance of this has long confounded historians, but the most recent theory is that the bowl was once either filled with human blood after sacrificial rites, or filled with libations for other types of ceremony. If we knew the identity of the tomb's occupant, it might help us, but unfortunately, we don't. Archaeologists rushed to the site of Navan Fort in Northern Ireland in July 2020, when it was reported that evidence of a monumentally large religious structures had been discovered there, hiding in plain sight. The findings of the experts responsible for the discovery say that the structures predate the arrival of Christianity to the area during the 5th century. Most of the structures can't be seen by the naked eye, but their presence has been revealed by modern technology, with electrical resistance surveys and magnetic gradiometry allowing scientists to see the area in new ways. If the team is right about what's buried under the ground, they can be credited with finding some of the largest structures built anywhere in the world between 2,000 and 3,000 years ago. It appears that the entire hilltop once hosted an enormous enclosure shaped like a figure of 8, with 2 smaller figure-of-8 shaped buildings inside it. The significance of the shape is unknown. Navan Fort is just outside the city of Armagh, a place that's long been considered to be the country's ecclesiastical capital, but it now seems that the religious history of the area goes back much further than that.
Subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications, and you will be the first to know when a new video comes out. Thank you for watching, and see you soon.